sometimes when you make statements, you should also look at yourself and your history. Just look at yourself and say, okay, I'm making such a statement. Can somebody challenge me, my statement? Am I as clean as a peeled potato? If you're not, please shut up. Please shut up. Because we can take you on. If you are not as clean as a peeled potato, don't make such ridiculous statements. The problem Kenyans are having with this administration is trying to force things through their throats. They actually think that we're not intelligent. They actually think they can just develop policies without proper participation. You know? They just think that it's no longer bottom-up, it's actually top-bottom. You come with your ideas and you want to force these ideas through your people by hook or crook. People will reject you. That tweet of him, I saw it. It was misplaced. If Mutai is looking for a job from this administration, let him just say, I'm looking for a job.
Oh, really? You're going there?
Let him look for, if he's saying, but what type of nonsense was Mutai talking about? What type of nonsense is it?
You're going there.
What type of nonsense?
He wants a job, just say, I want.
Just say, Bwana William, nimekaa kwa baridi sana. I need a job. I'm out, I'm feeling cold, man. I need a job. And those powers that his godfather had, Daniel Arap Moi, are no longer there for him to exercise. So if he wants to be like Moi, yes, he could be like him, but he doesn't have the constitution to protect him. Okay? He wants to be like Akibaki, but then he's failing in every aspect.
Beneficiaries of graft have teamed up with judicial officers to frustrate Ruto's development agenda. Raila Odinga says, look, Ruto has realized that he has failed and is looking for a scapegoat. This is why he's calling out the judiciary as been hijacked. Chief Justice Martha Koome says Raila not, but Ruto should respect the judiciary. This is the conversation we're having today. Happy New Year to you. It's the 4th day of January. I'm sitting next to Philip Kisia, leadership and governance expert, former Nairobi town clerk, ex-KICC CEO. We're going to talk about this conversation that President William Ruto himself has said that we need to have about the judiciary and why he's getting derailed. Philip, thanks for making time for me today. Really do appreciate. Happy New Year. Is it really a Happy New Year as we're starting?
First of all, thank you for inviting me the first week of this year, 2024, and let me take this opportunity to wish all Kenyans a better year than last year, although we're starting on a wrong footing. But we shall soldier on as Kenyans. We have been very resilient. We are ready for this year.
You're ready?
We are ready.
Welcome to Gerald Kabero Unfiltered. My name is Gerald Kabero. We want to start from this. President Ruto's recent remarks. He says these litigations, do they even make sense? Kenyans voted for this manifesto. Who are judges to tell Kenyans, because you voted for this, look, we're not going to head that direction? Says, look, these corrupt judges there, we have to deal with them because we have something that we have planned and they're taking Kenyans behind. We want to go forward. You listen to President Ruto in Nyandarua, Senator Methu's father's burial. Goes ahead, also takes direct orders to the PS. Let's start from this. You listen to him, he says this about judiciary. What comes to mind?
You know, first of all, let me wish him a Happy New Year. I hope he's happy, because he needs to be happy. You know, to govern over 50 million intelligent people is not a joke. He's dealing with intelligent Kenyans. Yeah. Kenyans are not just like any other African states. We are dealing with very tough and intelligent people. So let him be calm and be prepared for this year. The comments that were made by the head of state were most unfortunate, especially at the beginning of the year. What he has said, he has actually suspended the constitution. When a head of state who is heading one arm of government, because there are 3 arms, he's only heading one of them. When he comes out publicly and says that he will defy one arm of government, and not only defying an arm of government, defying a court, because the court is the last resort When I feel aggrieved, I go to court. So when a head of state tells the public that he has no business respecting the court of law, he's actually pushing for anarchy. And he must be told on his face that the path he has taken is extremely dangerous. And if he doesn't check out himself, he is going to find himself in a lot of problems. You can imagine the effect of now over 50 million people defying his policies, because they can defy. You can imagine over 50 million people defying the police because they can defy. Where's the country headed to? So he needs to be measured. I know he's angry that some of his projects, pet projects, are not being rolled through. But when you break the law, or when people feel aggrieved, where do they go to? They go to the courts. And Ruto, with every respect, he's my president and he's my friend. I must tell him that he's not above the law. We are operating in a new constitution 2010, and blood was shed for us to have this new constitution. And those powers that his godfather had, Daniel Arap Moi, are no longer there for him to exercise. So if he wants to be like Moi, yes, he could be like him, but he doesn't have the constitution to protect him. Okay? He wants to be like Akibaki, but then he's failing in every aspect. So he must be warned. He must be warned that the path he has taken early in the year is destructive. It is going to destroy this country. And he will go into history as one of the worst presidents that Africa has ever had.
You've said something interesting, anarchy. Isn't that far-fetched? Are we in that situation where Kenyans can just decide every man for themselves?
Oh yes, we are getting to that. We are getting to that point, my friend Jadel. When a head of state says that he is going to disobey the courts, what are you telling the citizens? You say, oh, I'm going to defy them. Yet it is the same courts, that is taking head on. They're the same courts that pronounce him as a president. They are the same courts that threw out the BBI, which is supported. He is the one who, we are not, because after the judgment, he was a very happy fellow. He was so happy that BBI, and he praised the courts. He praised our courts. So when it is working for you, you celebrate. When the courts, the same courts tell you that you have crossed the red line, that you are not operating within the constitution, it becomes a problem. I mean, where are we heading to?
So Kenyans will just decide, look, if the president is defying courts,
yes,
let us defy the president.
Of course, he's going to be defied. And very soon, people are going to defy him. And you see, I mean, we live in this country. You can see how the people are reacting to anything that comes out of the president's mouth. People are angry. I don't know who's advising him. And sometimes I think when you are in power and you are drunk with power, sometimes you fail to listen. And I think for me, where I'm sitting, Ruto is lacking one thing. He's lacking honest advisors who can look at him in his face and tell him, Mr. President, you are wrong. He's lacking. He doesn't have the people Kibaki had. Kibaki had people who would, kitchen cabinets, who were well-grounded, who would advise Kibaki.
Now, all...
I believe even Uhuru survived because he seemed to have had good advisors like Ambassador Mudavadi. That man is grounded. But where is Mudavadi in this government, the current government? Where is Mudavadi? Where is Philip Kisia? I mean, we are dealing with mediocrity.
He says, look, Kenyans voted for me. They voted for my manifesto. These judges are coming and saying what Kenyans voted for is not constitutional. And we go to affordable housing and housing levy, that is the pet project of President William Ruto. Says these judges need to understand that Kenyans voted for me and they voted for this project. Says we need to have this conversation, Kisia. We need to have this conversation because we cannot continue this way, can we?
Jadel, You know, he's my friend. And when I talk, some of his people say, I'll remain his friend, but I'll be truthful to him. But I'll be more truthful to the Constitution, and I'll hold the Constitution. He must be reminded that 7 million Kenyans voted for him, or slightly above 7 million. He must be reminded 7 million people voted for Raila. He must be reminded that 7 million Kenyans refused to go to the ballot. Oh. Why did they refuse? I suspect maybe they didn't have faith in our electoral process. So you are looking at 14 million against 7 million. So in effect, we are saying almost 70% of the population didn't vote for this government. They didn't. These are facts. So that is number one. Let us not hide behind the 7 million people who voted. I will not want us to get into detail on this housing thing because the matter is in court. Yeah. And I respect the courts. This housing thing is the product of my administration, not Ruto, not Uhuru Kenyatta. It is my administration that came up with this idea of rolling out affordable housing in Nairobi.
When you were town clerk?
Yes. The records are there. He can go back to, he was in the cabinet. He can check the cabinet records. In 2010, President Kibaki approved this particular program. But we were not able to roll it out because that time the PPP framework was not as friendly as we have it today. It was not encouraging investors to come and invest. So I understand the housing affordable housing program better than he does. I suspect they have a different motive. We were very clear. We just wanted to provide 2 components. Taking care of 15,000 families who are occupying about 2,500 acres. Yeah? Give them houses at extremely subsidized costs. Okay? For almost, because Kibaki didn't want to hear that you are giving something for free. He didn't want to hear bure. So I and my administration, we said, okay, we shall accommodate that cost within the wider project and provide housing for those people because they can't afford. These people pay 500 bob, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 shillings. Now, why is Mr. Ruto, he is so bitter about this affordable housing? And is it that people are gaining from this thing? I suspect. You see, when you see a man raving with a lot of anger, he's raving, he's raging with so much anger. If you think the thing is right, allow due process to take place. The matter will be subjected in the courts. Take good lawyers, and they can afford good lawyers. Not good lawyers, I mean good lawyers. Let him prosecute his case in court, and the court will make a determination. But why are you so bitter about this housing?
But how can...
Because I can tell you, Jadel, people are making money from affordable housing.
I'm asking...
This was my idea. They took it up, and when Uhuru Kenyatta started this thing, I reminded him, and several times I told Uhuru, this is my project. Consult me. We came up with the concept of this thing. Now, you are rushing because people want to make money.
The question is,
they just want to make money.
How can he go back to court if these judges, as he says, are corrupt? How can he deal with them?
In fact, when a whole president, as he said, elected by 7 million people, I feel sorry for those people who elected him. Because if, for heaven's sake, if you, at that level, you are throwing your hands in the air and you're saying, I've given up, that these judges are so corrupt. They are corrupt. Their judgments are corrupt. Yet we have Judicial Service Commission, which should be dealing with those matters. You have DCI, you have Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission that should be dealing with those matters. And ahead of saying, you're saying that, oh, now that these people, if he's, that statement he made, he needs to retract. Because it means that all the decisions that the judiciary has made, including making him president, are corruptly, is he saying that? Including when the courts pronounced and said the process for BBI didn't, you know, I mean there are certain areas that were before the law, and it was thrown out. It means, and he celebrated at that time, it means even that there was corruption at that time. So that statement of his is extremely, it was unnecessary. It is ridiculous coming from him. Because how do you say, how as a head of state do you say that these people are corrupt? The same corrupt people made you president.
And that's my next question.
Was that,
is there a way to tell?
If these are the same courts that made him president, then we have a problem.
Today,
and if the courts, if you have any complaint, like any other Kenyan, you are not above the law. He must be reminded again, he is not above the law. If he's aggrieved, he goes to court.
Today he tweeted and replying to Senior Counsel Ahmed Nasir, he said, "You warned me of sabotage by corrupt judicial officers. I told you there are many good officers in the judiciary and that we will root them out."
How will he root them out?
We shall.
Which powers does he have?
Senior Counsel Muite replied to Muite says, "The impunity of bribing judges so as to delay or sabotage Kenya's imminent transformation will never happen under my watch. Not a single cent will be used to bribe nobody. Mambo ya wafisadi wote yale nilisema." Going back to mambo ya wafisadi.
Come on. You see, sometimes when you make statements, you should also look at yourself and your history. Just look at yourself and say, okay, I'm making such a statement. Can somebody challenge me, my statement? Am I as clean as a peeled potato? If you are not, please shut up. Please shut up. Because we can take you on. If you are not as clean as a peeled potato, don't make such ridiculous statements. And we must insist that this country shall be governed by the rule of law. There is no shortcut. It is painful. That's the cost of democracy. The cost of democracy, that's the cost of democracy. That is why people shed blood to deliver the Constitution of 2010. I doubt whether he was part of it. I doubt.
You're saying the cost of democracy. I want to talk about that for just a while. What is the cost of democracy, as you put it? That the majority have their way, or the rule of law stands?
It is about the rule of law. It is about majority having their way. Yes, they can have their way. But the minority must still be heard. That's democracy. They must be heard. Whether you think they're right or wrong, they must just be heard. That is a law.
So if his projects are not sailing through, that is democracy.
You see, that is democracy. In fact, when you say that my projects are not sailing through, they are not your projects. And I must remind him that I keep on reminding these people. The only thing we know about is forget those manifestos. Manifestos should be a product of Vision 2030. The only document that Kenyans approved is Vision 2030.
Not the manifestos.
So these manifestos that you come up with are documents to actualize the vision. So where in that vision have Kenyans say that we want to be overtaxed? Where? Show me. Show me the page in Vision 2030 that says that for us to be able to roll out these programs, we allow whoever is occupying the seat to overtax Kenyans. Show me. I've read Vision 2030 several times. And we were part of Vision 2030. Maybe he was not, but I'm sure he was around.
I want to talk about the legal implications, if there are any, because the president directed roads PS Joseph Mbugua. A road in Nyandarua was put to a halt by the courts. The president directing, look, set aside money, construct that road despite court's order. What are the implications of a president speaking this way, apart from tyranny that we've talked about?
A president speaking that way has lost it. He has completely lost it. First of all, he's disrespecting court orders. And, you know, the law is very clear. If you disrespect a court order, you should be thrown in. In fact, I am looking forward. I'm looking forward to the Chief Justice, if she is a woman of steel, to summon this man to court. Yes. Where in the Constitution 2010 are you allowed, as whoever you are, to disobey a court order. Where?
What can you do to a president? Because you cannot be sued while you are still in power. What can you do to a president? This is also a big debate. It's only parliament that can get him out through impeachment.
Forget about impeachment, because we have no parliament. But you want to tell me, if the president disregards the constitution, that we have no avenue to deal with him? We have avenues to deal with the president. The constitution has its own limitations. Yes, he cannot be sued, but I doubt whether that same constitution allows him, to get into issues that border on disrespecting the constitution, disrespecting the judiciary, disrespecting everybody. It doesn't allow him. In fact, under chapter 6, it's very clear. It's a very short chapter, and the draft of this constitution, I don't know what they were doing, it's the smallest chapter in our constitution, but it is very clear. Nowhere does it say that you'll be spared as a president, so he can be barred from running from office, from holding office. Yeah, it can be barred.
So something has to be done. CJ, you've talked about parliament, which is very interesting.
Parliament.
You're saying
we have no parliament.
We don't have parliament.
This parliament that passed this bill, finance bill, as bad as it was, Kenyans said we don't want this thing, and they passed it. We have a parliament. We have people who meet in the house and earn money. They're not serious.
Something else the president talked
The only parliament we had that was serious, that was serious parliament. I think it was 10th and 11th, was it? The Kibaki one.
Yeah.
That was serious parliament. But now, look at the quality of debates, look at everything, look at the quality of people that we have in those two chambers. It's terrible.
What would you say then about the speakers of both houses? All of them affiliated to Kenya Kwanza, appearing in Kenya Kwanza events.
They are not independent. They're my friends. You know, when you're a speaker of a house, you do not belong to a party. You're supposed to be independent. Okay? You just look at the law. Like Emeritus Speaker Marende did. He would look at the law. He was from ODM, but he never made any rulings to favor ODM. The other speaker, Nani Ole Kaparu, those are sound fellows. And now we have the quality of fellows we have around. I mean, it's really wanting. You
know, it's interesting that Raila said Ruto has captured parliament and now bills come straight from State House and get ratified by lawmakers. He wants to do the same with the judiciary. Could this be the case where we have a sort of autocratic leadership where everything comes directly from the executive, which is simply the president, and sails through? Is this what is going to happen?
That is his attempt by every measure. I think he's trying to make sure that he is controlling, now that he's controlling parliament, I think he's now pushing his luck a bit too hard to control also the judiciary. But he must be reminded, for heaven's sake, he is not an imperial president. He's just a president elected by 7 million Kenyans, so slightly above 7 million Kenyans. And nowhere, when even those 7 million people, and I feel sorry for them, nowhere did they say that we're giving you powers to use a sword to slash people like, like Sukmawiki.
Yeah.
I doubt whether that's what, they told him, we are giving you power to provide leadership to over 50 million Kenyans for a period of 5 years. To provide leadership, sound leadership, okay? And leadership does not include threats. You don't threaten people. And you see, unfortunate for him, I feel very sorry for him because I can see he's full of anger. And now people have discovered that the man gets angry very quickly. They're going to give him a hard time.
Once they discover.
People have discovered this man. If you want,
provoke him.
Chokora him a bit, and the man will just, blow up. So, and if he's not careful, he's going to blow up. If he's not careful.
Talk to me now about the National Health Insurance Fund. I don't know what you think about it. It says judges were bribed. They don't want universal health care. A few individuals, leaders who have unlimited insurance health coverage, they want Kenyans who do not have insurance to be frustrated. What do you think about NHIF? Is it high time we embrace universal health coverage And the president is actually right on this, on Kenyans need to have this conversation so that we pass universal health coverage.
You see, even I personally have no problem with the universal health coverage because it's actually covered in the Constitution. It's a right. And Vision 2030, remember, talks about improving the quality of life of Kenyans by 2030. You cannot improve the quality of life of Kenyans by 2030 if they are not covered. They have no health insurance. There are no hospitals and what have you. Okay? The problem Kenyans are having with this administration is trying to force things through their throats. They actually think that we're not intelligent. They actually think they can just develop policies without proper participation. You know? They just think that it's no longer bottom-up, it's actually top-bottom. You come with your ideas and you want to force these ideas through your people by hook or crook. People will reject you. People, even if you come up with good ideas, but your method, your strategy to implement those ideas are not in tandem with the people, they will be rejected.
Because that is actually true.
They will be rejected.
We want affordable housing.
We want good things. We want good health. We want good homes. But when you're dealing with human beings, learn one thing. Sit down with them and consult. Sell your idea to them. Get a buy-in. Once you get a buy-in, my friend, once you get a buy-in, nobody will oppose the idea. But when you come threatening, you say it must happen. First of all, the taxes are not your money or your family money. These are not your family assets. This is money belonging to Kenyans.
Yeah.
You cannot decide how that money will be spent. They will tell you how they want that money spent. So, I have no issues, and maybe it should have been gradual. Okay? When you're starting something, because most of the history of most of these corporations, state corporations, when it comes to managing public funds, they have a very bad history. They have a terrible history. He has said that 40% of the money at NHIF used to go to people's pockets. If he has that information, why is he not taking action? But it could be true that the level of corruption in most of these state agencies is unbelievable. So you are telling me that these state corporations have been given in the past X. They have mismanaged. Now, without coming up with proper structures, you're making X times 10. If you have failed in the past managing a small thing, a small basket, small little basket of 1 kilo, now you're giving the fellow 10 kilos to carry. Will he be able to carry?
So we can have universal health care, but
we must have proper structures.
Without structures, there's nothing.
It's nothing. You see, if I were him, I would have said, okay, the first thing I'm going to do, because he has admitted that 40% of the money is being looted. Yeah. He himself, President Ruto, he told Kenyans.
Yes.
The first thing, seeing that loophole, then come back to Kenya and say, you know what? I have done what other president had failed to do. I have sealed the loophole 40%. You know, 40% of that budget is huge money. If you can just save the 40%, maybe there may be no need to increase. Because you're admitting that almost half of the money is being corruptly used.
Yes.
So why can't you deal with that one? And then after that, you come back and say, okay, now, you've seen what I've done. I've seen the loophole. I'm now providing better health coverage to Kenyans. Allow me to increase incrementally. People start seeing the benefit. But you are removing us from a very bad past. Very bad one. Bad history. Corrupt. He's admitting 40%. He is admitting himself. President is saying 40%.
Yes.
And you've not done anything about the 40% and you want more? Come on, be serious. For heaven's sake, be serious, William.
As we wind this conversation, I want to know, how can we balance the need for efficient project implementation and due process following the judiciary? How can we balance this? Because the president has told us, because I know you're a little bit pissed with what he has said, but he has told us we need to have this conversation because these litigations are not helping us. How can we balance?
You see, he is going to have this, first of all, is a right. I know Kenyans are very litigious. It's a right. If you feel aggrieved, you go to court. Okay? However, if he, as a president, wants to create a balance, he must start with the people he's governed, the people of Kenya, and sell his idea. Don't force your ideas down the throats of Kenyans. They will reject. Come with them. Tell us what you intend to do. Remember, you're not little children that you're talking over our heads, like he's doing. Remember, even if you threaten us how many times, we don't care. And tomorrow we shall start threatening you, and we'll take you head on. Just, Jadel, let him do the right thing. Follow the law. The law is written. The law was approved by Kenyans. Just follow that law. What does the law say if I want to do A, B, C, D? Follow the law. Because once you go to court, this court, the judges are Kenyans. Once you go to court, and the judge can see the due process has been followed, public participation there, not buying people in brown envelopes and saying there's some public participation. Not buying MPs to pass a bill. Those are things that happened in the 80s, and they will not happen again. We will not allow him. Just follow the law. Follow from day one. Follow the law, which has been written and guided. When you go to court, the courts look at. They immediately look at whether when they see there's a gap. Of course, then the other party must be heard. So it is simple. President William Samoei Ruto must follow the law, must follow due process, must respect people, must sell his programs in a manner that Kenyans will accept. But if he wants to threaten us all the time, he wakes up threatening us like we're small little children in his backyard, he can forget.
I want to finish with Mutahi Ngunyi. He said on X, the only way to transform Kenya is to break the law. If we did not disobey court orders in the Sabasaba of 1990, Kenya will still be a one-party dictatorship like Rwanda and Uganda. And this comes when it comes to dealing with corruption. So many people have weird styles of dealing with corruption. Gachagua was actually saying we take them to a cliff when he was competing for the president. We take them to a cliff and we probably shoot them out. But how can we deal with corruption? Should we go this route of disobeying court orders, going directly to these corrupt individuals?
You see, there is no avenue. There is no avenue for disobeying a court order. There is no avenue. So we start from there.
We forget that.
We forget about that one. We cannot disobey, because immediately disobeys a court order. I am telling him, 50 million Kenyans will disobey him, his policies. 50 million Kenyans will disobey the police. We'll have no country. So let's not even talk about him disobeying a court order.
So
it is not on the table. Mutahi Ngunyi is my friend. He's my friend, and sometimes, it's difficult to talk about your friend. But let me tell Mutahi, that tweet of him, I saw it, it was misplaced. If Mutahi is looking for a job from this administration, let him just say, I'm looking for a job.
Oh, really? You're going there?
Let him look for, if he's saying, but what type of nonsense was Mutahi talking about? What type of nonsense is it?
You're going there.
What type of nonsense?
If he wants a job, just say, I want.
Just say, Bwana William, nimekaa kwa baridi sana. I need a job. I'm out, I'm feeling cold, man. I need a job.
So then let's go.
Man, let's talk about things that cannot work.
Let's talk.
The dictatorship ended this country when we passed the Constitution of 2010. And we said we shall never have a dictator again. You try it, Kenyans will deal with you. And Mutahi was Uhuru Kenyatta's advisor and friend. And sometimes it makes sense, but most of the time, sometimes it doesn't make any sense.
So you're saying, what avenue then should we follow when it comes to dealing with corruption if the judiciary is not helping us?
You see, first of all, we need to change our culture. These things need to be embedded in us. They must be part of us. Okay? And when Wabukala was the chairman of anti-corruption, I told him, it has two key functions. One is what? Ethics.
Ethics.
Yeah? Ethics. The other one is corruption. Corruption is just an end product. If we don't start inculcating good values in our children, in our system, from the time they are born. Me, I'm telling you, when I'm driving my children, my younger kids, they will not allow me to cross a red light. They say, Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing? Then the traffic lights are showing red. So those values need to be inculcated. So we, as a country, we need to start spending a lot of resources in engraving these values in our people, dealing with issues of ethics at a very early stage. That's number one. Number two, we need these agencies, anti-corruption and what have you, we need them to do their jobs properly, to investigate properly, have evidence, collaborate with the public prosecutor, take the things to court, prosecute. It is shameful that some of the things go through anti-corruption, DPP approves, they go to court. Then the same government that has taken people to court does not take lawyers to represent. Or they just do a shady job and the case are dismissed. Because the judges will look at the evidence provided. If you don't provide evidence, I'm sorry, the judges, as much as they would want to help, as much as they're Kenyans, they want to do the right thing, but there's no evidence to convict somebody. How can you convict? So let everybody do the jobs that they have been given to do, starting with anti-corruption. But most importantly, you know, when you are growing up in Eastlands, you say, Mwizi huyo, and that guy would point at the other one, Mwizi huyo. Now, if you are a Mwizi, and you are pointing at Mwizi, we're not going to sort out this problem. We need, in fact, let me tell you, we need a complete set of new leaders in this country. Complete. These people have been associated with corruption and graft, must be removed by any means. Because you can't talk about corruption when you have a poor record. You can't. People not take you seriously. Okay. Children not take you seriously. When you hear even a 5-year-old child looking at you and not taking you seriously, I think we're in a very bad space.
Well, good place to wrap up. Not a good place, actually, but that is where we are as a country. It's a conversation of judicial tyranny, or is our president going rogue? Thank you, Kesia, for making time for me. It has been very insightful. Any final word to Kenyans thinking, well, what will we do if the president says the judiciary is not an avenue for us?
Kenyans must be very categorical to His Excellency, the President, that he does not have that mandate, that he's not an imperial president. They will not allow him not to disobey court orders. The day he does that, then Kenyans also, he will be telling Kenyans, take the laws in your hands. We'll have no country. He will be telling Kenyans, you are on your own. Do what you feel like doing. We'll have no country. Maybe things that he's a tough guy, maybe things that he has police. I think now it's just about 100,000 fellows. Just 100,000 fellows. Kenyans are 50 million. They will overrun that police. They will overrun the military. And I can tell you, so, police are Kenyans. They will shoot a few of us. Yes, we'll die. Like others have, before us have died. But they'll get to a point and say, what are we doing? They will turn the guns against you.
Well, thank you for tuning in. That has been Gerald Kabiro Unfiltered on this 4th day of January, the year is 2024. Happy New Year to you and your family. I hope your dreams get actualized this year. Until we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.